everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Why, hello, my friends. This is Sally Clarkson, and I am so happy that you joined me today. I have been doing a podcast for several years, and I just really love this arena. I love getting messages from you. I love your comments. I love feeling like we are all idealists walking this particular lane of life together. And so I'm so glad you joined me today. I often talk about my home, my family, my life, my educational philosophies, my philosophy on motherhood, all these different things. And if you're new to my podcast today, welcome. We will have lots and lots of fun. Well, many of you know that I have 4 adult children, and they are spread all over the world. And, you know, I love having everyone together. But what I even enjoy a lot more, or maybe at least as much, is having my children individually. I have had my son, he's my second son, my third child, Nathan, and his wife, Kelia, with us for almost 3 months this summer. They are actors, and they live in New York City, and they actually make a living at acting and writing. But in the summers, there are very few parts. There's very little going on because people take vacations then. So I have had the privilege of having them with me. And we have spent lots and lots and lots of talk time together. And so it's been a lot of fun. And they're getting ready to leave to go back to New York in a few weeks. And so I'm going to really miss them. But anyway, I'm going to share something with you, just one of the funny things that happened this week. And it's one of those things that you may think, that is ridiculous. Why did she share that with us? It might be one of those things that's not funny to you at all, but it just happened upon us. Kelia, my daughter-in-law, is just my kindred spirit. We find ourselves giggling at the same ridiculous things that no one else thinks are funny. And we work together a lot. But anyway, we had just been driving home. We just exited a very busy freeway after doing a number of errands that we needed to do. My iPhone was acting up, and you know when your iPhone acts up, you can't get anything done. So we had been to the store and different places, and I said, just think, as we were driving closer to our house, 5 minutes from our house, I said, just think, everything left to do today is going to be really fun and good. And she said, I know. She said, it's all uphill from here. And I went, no, I think you mean downhill. And she said, no, because if your life is going in a downward direction, it's going in a bad direction. And so then we started thinking of all the, but if things are looking up in life, it means they're going well. But I said, but if things are uphill from here, that means you're climbing a mountain. It's going to be harder. And she said, no, but anyway, we just went on and on naming about 10 different uphill, downhill. And anyway, we love words, but it was one of those funny sort of things. And in the end, Kelia said, I think that your life going uphill or downhill means the same thing. But anyway, we are a people of words, and we get tickled, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And when we got home, we told Clay and Nathan, and they kind of looked at us like, you all are just crazy. You thought that was funny? But anyway, I hope you thought it was funny. It was funny in the moment. But we realized, and this is why I'm very grateful for food, we realized that everything we were looking forward to that was going to be a blessing was we were going home for peanut butter chocolate chip cookies and some tea and a tea time out on our deck with the boys. And then after that, we were going to have red chili chicken enchiladas with lots of cheese and tostadas. And it was something to look forward to. And then after that, we got to have our nightly chocolate. All of us had a favorite piece of chocolate that every night we kind of eat for just a fun thing. Mine is the salted almond dark chocolate. and Keely and Nathan like to eat the dark Reese's Pieces. They're little bitty bites, but they eat more than one. And then Clay loves just the dark chocolate with almond. So anyway, we have these patterns set up with these rhythms, and it means that every night we have rewards. So I hope that you are rewarding yourself. Well, I kind of wanted to share a couple of things with you today. I'm not going to have a million different things to talk about. Usually I have lots of books and lots of things going, but it's been a very, very busy week, and I want to always be sure the recommendations I give to you are really good. But I was reading a couple of quotes that were really happened to go with what I was thinking about. We have had some real sad things happen in our lives lately, a couple of deaths, and just some things like that have really influenced and affected us, as well as there are some things that have been particularly challenging to me personally. Just some things I've been praying for many years that are pretty much considerably always on my heart. Kind of some of those things that may or may not ever end until you get to heaven. But I still pray nonetheless. And then just kind of some dark clouds have come over my life a little bit here and there. And so I know that I've had a lot of letters like that lately. One person told me that she wishes that I would talk about what it looks like when you are so tired and irritable and overwhelmed and feel like a failure in motherhood that you just need some encouragement. And I'm going to read a little portion that I've written earlier about that, because that happens to all of us. This marathon of life, whether it is in your work, in your relationships, in your family, all families are broken in some way or the other. And it might be in your marriage, it might be with a prodigal child or a child who's sick, whatever it is. It seems like this is kind of one of those times where Clay and I know a lot of people who are struggling, including some of our children, with really some long-term difficulties of life. And so I was pondering a couple of quotations that I really love, and I want to talk a little bit today about what does it look like to live a life that can continually pull us forward in the direction of vibrant and strong faith. And do we give ourselves freedom sometimes to have a different sort of schedule? Of course we do. Life is a marathon. It's long. If we can find those places in our schedule, little things that actually access some pleasure or some joy or some rest. And so I'm going to be talking about that today. But anyway, the first thing I wanted to say is Nathan came to me and he said, "Mom, I want to tell you, I read this incredible good story today." And I said, "Well, great, because I need a good story in my life right now." And evidently, in China, there is this man, he's elderly by now, but people used to wonder at him because he seemed like a total introvert. And he would walk from his home down a long pathway to a place that had a large bridge, and he would sit near the bridge and take one of his books. He had many books that he read, and he did this for about 23 years. He would go and sit and read his book every single day for a certain period of time. And as one of the people was interviewing him and talking to him one day about his life, and what is it that you read that you have so much interest in these books? And he told the tale that this particular bridge was a place where many people committed suicide over years and years and years. And so he decided that he would go and, in an inobtrusive sort of way, he would sit and read his book, and it ends up that he kept 500 people from committing suicide. He would very humbly go and talk to them and say, "Hello, how are you, and what are you doing here?" And he would listen to their story, and he would encourage them. But there were 500 people who decided that life was worth living well, because of the vision and the investment that this very humble man that no one knew had done. So that was at least a little bit of an encouragement to me. Nathan is looking. Today he sent me. He's so sweet. He likes to encourage his mama, and today he sent me this silly reel of this very well trained golden retriever who had a pair of angel wings in his mouth, and he went over to his master and he kept nodding his head toward his master like, "I want you to put my angel wings on." And then the master attached these wings. Evidently, this was common to this golden retriever's back, and the wings flap back and forth and they light up, and the dog would go over to the mirror and look at himself with the wings, and then he would turn a circle and jump up for joy, and then he would watch himself again. But anyway, all that to say, Nathan knows that sometimes a little humor lifts my own personality. But I wanted to read a couple of quotes to you today that have really been encouraging to me in light of faith, because whatever you water in your life is going to grow. And I want that even when there are difficult times, and they will always come and go. This is the world separated from God, moving in the direction of his kingdom come. But anyway, one of these quotes that I have kind of almost memorized and read many times, but it's a C.S. Lewis quote, and it said, "The great thing to remember is though our feelings come and go, God's love for us does not come and go. It is always there." Actually, I added the it is always there. But basically, Lewis was saying, recognizing that our feelings come and go, our up feelings, our down feelings, but that God's love never changes. And God never changes. And then from Max Lucado, "Faith is not the belief that God will do what you want," which is what many of my prayers indicate, that I want God to do what I want. "Faith is not the belief that God will do what you want. It is the belief that God will do what is right." And that is such a very important thing for us to remember, that God sees a bigger picture, a bigger understanding of what is going on in our lives. And so I wanted to read to you today just a piece that I wrote a while back and have been adding to. I found out that writing in a journal, journaling your thoughts, your feelings, everything that you really think and feel honestly before God, or just in your own personal journal for yourself, is very emotionally therapeutic, and builds a more secure and firm and flourishing foundation for your thoughts and for your life. You can deal with things better when you write them out, when you pray them out. And so that's kind of what I do. And I had written this in my journal, and probably around the time that I wrote the book, Dancing with My Heavenly Father. "I want to be, as a child, delighting in life, at peace with God, living in the grace of the moment, to live above the pull of depression, to cultivate a heart of joy from which others may draw." And I wrote that in my journal. And the commitments, you might consider writing down what are some of your faith commitments, because when you can go back and read those faith commitments, they can hold you fast, because I wrote what I really believed. I want to be innocent. I want to be resting in God. I want to be in the moment, seeing his beauty even in the midst of dark times. And so I wrote that down, but I'm going to read this little portion to you today. "Midway through my mothering journey found me weary, discouraged, depleted. I wondered how I was going to make it in the rest of my years with ideals faithfully. I pondered how to grow more mature in dark times. Dancing had become a metaphor for me. Even now, as my own heart, as I shared a minute ago, is tempted to deep discouragement, sometimes just dark clouds, my emotions can get dark, as I pondered some unanswered prayer, world issues, politics, life tragedies of friends and family. And yet, as I look back, walking with God through the pathways, these kinds of pathways, for many years has taught me to hold fast, to stand firm to faith, to cultivate thankfulness, to really actually exercise being thankful and to choose to believe in God's presence, reality, and in His goodness, that He is good even when I don't see it. As a wee child, my father, who loved music, I was the only girl, I was the youngest, and he would say, "Come here, precious, and stand on top of my shoes." And he would dance all around the floor with me standing on his shoes. He would hold my hands, and he would push his feet up and down, stepping to the dance of vibrant music. My father was a musical person. He actually played the trumpet. He did jazz for his hobby, for his music. And I realized as I looked back on that this was a sort of metaphor that I wrote about in my book, Dancing with My Father. I could see it for my relationship with God, that God is my dance partner. He is the one leading in my life. He is the one showing me the dance steps to take. I am to follow God's lead. I am to relinquish my control and to rest in the control of God. I love this quotation by Mark Twain. He says, "Dance like no one is watching." In other words, don't be self-conscious about the amazing and deep way you live life. Dance like no one is watching. Love like you have never been hurt. Love the people who are difficult for you. Make a choice one time and again and again and again to love the unlovely, to love the irrational, to love the imperfect, because that's what you are too, my friend. And then he says, sing like no one is listening. I get so tickled because when my Nathan, who happens to be here right now, he sings in the shower at the top of his lungs. It always makes me smile. He sings like no one is listening and live like it is heaven on earth. You know, the choices that we make, dance like no one is watching, love like you've never been hurt, sing like no one is listening, live like it is heaven on earth. The ways that we choose to perceive life, choose to walk in life, choose to celebrate life, choose to accept life. When I accept the fact, and I was doing this last week, God, I want to believe at every turn, regardless of my feelings, regardless of my mood, I believe that you are good because I see the sunrises and the sunsets and the flowers blooming and my precious grandchildren and my children and my golden retriever. And I choose to have a concept that I practice that not just says I have faith, but I'm believing with faith in the goodness of God, even in dark times, because I see His beauty. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "And those who were dancing were thought to be insane by those who couldn't hear the music." In other words, seek to hear the music that God is playing as He guides you through life. He is your Heavenly Father. God does indeed care for you. And so I prayed, and I pray for you, and I pray for me. Jesus, let me hear the music of your song that you are singing over creation, over eternity. Let me allow you to lead me in this dance of faith. I remind myself, I encourage myself in the Lord what it means to wait, walking through difficult days. And I practice this walk of faith year after year. It is a well-practiced rhythm for me. I perceive God every single year in me humbly looking to this because I'm not perfect, and yet God is. I see Him more loving. I see the ways He has provided for me because I choose to make time to write them in my journal. I perceive that God is more gracious and compassionate and kind than I sometimes allow my feelings to feel. I still my heart to listen for God's music that I may dance with all of my heart through the days He laid out for me. And you know, David is one of my heroes because even though David was a picture of an imperfect person, he was passionate and strong, and he fought the bear, and he fought the lion, and he fought Goliath. But he also committed great faux pas and was really unwise in life. And yet God says that David was a man after his heart because David loved God with his whole heart. David, after all, was the person who prepared the orchestra, prepared the singers, prepared the people, gave them a feast of food. And when he was bringing the Lord's presence into the place where all of the people were worshiping, 25,000 people, my friends, evidently, and he danced before God with his whole heart. And that pleased God. God said that David pleased him because he worshiped God with his whole heart. And I have a story I can't wait to tell you from my book, Well Lived, that really impacted me to see what does it mean to live with your whole heart and to choose to move beyond that darkness. Well, I think some of it's practical, and I'm going to talk about that next, but I love the verse, great is your faithfulness. And I have a couple of these in my house. You can see it in the picture today in my social media, in my blog post, in my Instagram, and my Facebook, because I choose to stand and believe that God is faithful. And so I kind of wanted to tell you some things today that I actually do to really keep me. I'm not just a spiritual being. I am a physical being. I am an emotional being. I am an intellectual being. And so I do things to encourage myself. I write down quotes and memorize Bible verses that I know will feed my intellect and feed my faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please God, for he who comes to God must believe that he is. I believe that you are my Lord. I believe you're with me. Help my unbelief. Help me to grow in that. Or like the quotations I just read to you from C.S. Lewis and from the other people in literature. I fill my mind. I fill the treasure chest of my heart, the treasure box of my heart and mind with truth, with sayings, with words from hymns, with words of Scripture. As a matter of fact, I think right now I'm going to share with you some of my favorite verses about faith. First of all, Luke 1:37, the angel said, nothing will be impossible with God. That was in the Mary scene, actually. Nothing will be impossible with God. In Matthew 21, verse 22, it says, whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. And I look at that. I have prayed and prayed and prayed. And yet, all of a sudden, I will see an answer from God, maybe after years of praying. And I sometimes forget the things that God has done by me seeking him over and over and over again. It's not so much that I'm looking for things just selfishly to please me, but I pray for God to open up doors for people who need a job, for instance, for people who are having difficulty in marriage, for people who are having difficulty in life in some way. And sometimes because we are subject to consequences of our own decisions, of our own lack of wisdom, of our own foolishness, and just being in the chaotic world, sometimes we don't see the answers the way that we thought we would. But I have learned to see that all of the things and the ways that God has done in my life, worked in my life, have ended up showing his faithfulness in transcendent ways beyond what I was thinking in my own small mind at the time. And it helped me to grow in ways that has given me the messages that I actually write about now. It says in Hebrews 11, I just talked about this earlier, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. It doesn't mean that you see them. It means that you choose to see with the eyes of faith the things that you know that God is faithful to do. Without faith, it's impossible to please him, for whoever comes to God must believe that he is, and that he rewards those who seek him. The thing I've learned about God, and I look at it in Job, God sometimes takes forever, longer than we thought he would. But he's still working. He said to Daniel, when Daniel was praying, the angel came to Daniel and said, Daniel, we were trying to come to you as an answer to your prayer, But there was a battle raging in heaven, and we could not get beyond these warriors on our own for many days. And so who knows but what there might be a spiritual battle going on. And in Ephesians, it talks about how our salvation, the belief that God has forgiven us forever, now and forever. There will never be more forgiveness than now and than there ever was. God forgives, period. It says, "For by grace we have been saved through faith. It is not of your own doing. It is a gift of God, not as a result of your works, that no one would boast, but as a result of God's gracious love for you, my friend. Yes, you are weary. Yes, you have failed. Yes, that little one drives you crazy. Or maybe it's the big one who drives you crazy. But God is at work, and he sees and he has compassion on you. Even as God looked out on the multitudes with compassion, I believe that God sees me in my little girl imperfection and immaturity, and he has compassion for what I struggle with. And he has love for me, and he desires to meet me in the garden as he wanted to meet Adam and Eve. And he wants to also for you. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. How often God has directed me to something better than I could even imagine. So, my friends, I'm going to be praying for you, but I did want you to really think about the fact that God has given you a brain to use and a personality that can help you, a personality that desires certain things. And so write down a list, besides writing your commitment to stay faithful. Write down a list of things that you need more of, or the list of the things that are draining you. And write these things so that you can do something about it. I think it's essential that all of us, when we are discouraged, that we find or develop or cultivate or have a friend or a counselor that we can talk to. Clay and I had perceived that some sweet friends of ours were really struggling with some issues in life that we have struggled with. And so we said, hey, let's all go out to coffee. And we missed a meeting that we normally went to. And we went out to coffee, and it ends up we talked for 2.5 hours. They're similar in age. They have similar circumstances. They have similar ideals. And we both couples just poured out our thoughts and our ideas and our struggles with one another. And it was so therapeutic to think, oh, we are not alone. They see what we see. We are all walking this road together. Find, cultivate, develop, look for a counselor who can listen to you, who can accept you, who can affirm you. Don't find one of those Job's friends who brings more doubt upon your life, like, have you sinned? And this is why your life is so hard? No, we've all sinned, and life is hard. But go to those people who will encourage you, who will lift you up, who will call you to your best self. Read a book that calls you to your best self. Listen to a podcast that calls you to your best self. So there are just some other pleasures that I put into my life all the time because I have a pretty demanding life. So I go walking. Walking gets my adrenaline out. It gets me outside. It's beautiful. So I go walking about a mile in the morning around. When I'm in Colorado, I walk more when I'm in Oxford, which I will be there soon. But I go walking, and then I go for another mile at night, and I try to do a mile in between during the daytime in my home, walking up and down stairs, getting stuff that I need instead of deciding not to. Anyway, so I try to walk at least 3 miles a day. It really helps me. My tea times, stopping, taking a breath, enjoying it, putting some music on, calming my soul. Tea time is a pleasant meeting for me, for our family, for my friends, for ministry. It gives you a moment to pause and to say, I will have a few moments of quiet and rest and pleasure. And actually, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but when we stop from working so hard, like if you've worked really hard on something for several hours, studying or writing or working, if you take a small break, even 20 minutes will do, when you come back to that same work, you're much more productive and much more poignant in your brain. So there you go. For me, it's talking with my children. And we talk so much. I talk to Joel fairly often. We have a certain time of day we talk. Sarah calls me on sometimes on Monday mornings. Joy always calls on Sunday. I talk with Keely and Nathan because we have regular times that we talk. We're friends. But talking with my children always lifts my heart. And I know that many of you are raising little ones right now, and you think, oh, Sally probably can't identify with me. I do have to tell you, my life is so busy and demanding with both my children, my grandchildren, my children who are here, with editors, publishers, with people in ministry, with letters, with everything, that I'm like you. One of my biggest, brightest times of day is if I can ever sleep. So that's another thing. Find a way to sleep or rest just a little bit more. Even a 20-minute time in the afternoon where you put everyone on some kind of a 20-minute Adventures in Odyssey, or some kind of an audiobook, or something fun that they really love. And you make sure that you rest during that time. Don't do anything else if rest is what you need, if rest is what your body needs. I often, and I used to do this with my little ones, when they were driving me crazy, or when I thought, we are really in each other's face too much today, I would put them all in the car and turn on either a fun children's story, or I would turn on some really wonderful music, and I would go driving in the mountains. I might give each of them a little snack to eat, but I found that when we would drive around wherever I lived, that would calm them. That would calm me. It would give me a little bit of a break when I didn't have somebody to take care of my children. So getting out of the house, going for a drive. And for me, Clay is so wonderful. We have our own kind of marriage. Everybody has a different thing. But Clay knows that I miss being with my faraway children. Like when Nathan and Kelia are in New York, or when my children are in Oxford, I always look for ministry opportunities to go there so that I can spend time with my grandchildren and make memories with them, and so that I can spend time with my 3 children who live there. I will go, as you will hear about in my book, Well Lived, I make these forays into New York City. I save my pennies. I look for coupons. I find ways to do what is good for me, but I visit with my children far away, even if that means going to England or going to New York City. But anyway, my friends, I just wanted to give you some spiritual encouragement. I wanted to give you some thoughts on what it looks like to be one of those marathon runners in this life of faith, to keep going. Many people just watch the Olympics. It was that fortitude, that keeping going, that endurance, that dream inside their heart that kept them going forward. Review your ideals, write your ideals down, pray and ask God what is on his heart, and thank him for at least 3 things every single day. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for my precious friends. I thank you for the fact that they are living in this chaotic, difficult world as I am, and yet they have chosen to follow you, to live for ideals, to wanting to be loving in those difficult situations. Many of them are tired. Give them rest, Lord. Give them the ability to put all of their burdens in the file drawer of heaven. And bless my precious friends today, I pray, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, my friends, I have several things to tell you. I have set a date for some of my member meetups. And whenever I'm in a city, I try to meet with anyone there who's in my membership. And then sometimes we open it up to other people too when we have extra seating. So I am going to open up a little small registration for Colorado Springs. And my planned date at this point is on September 7th. Be looking for me giving some of this in the membership. I will tell you the place and the time again. But on February 7th, We'll meet from 9:30 until 11:30 or 12. Be sure to send me questions. I will try to give a practical talk on whatever you want me to speak on, whatever people write me about. And it's been really fun to have these meetups with people in my membership all over the United States. If you want to be in a membership, you go to lifewithsally.com. And there's many gifts that you will receive there. In that we have lots of podcasts, we have lots of resources and encouragement, and we have some community there. But also, one of the things that we have, and I wanted to provide this for anyone who wants it, if you have not signed up for my sallyclarkson.com, that's where you can sign up for my email. If you haven't signed up for my email to receive all of the emails that we send out, be sure to do so, because this month, a few years ago, when I wrote the book Awaking Wonder, I did about 12 or 15 videos, short videos, that accompany Awaking Wonder, that I think they're inspiring. We've had literally tens of thousands of people who have listened to them. And I just want to provide it for free. If you just become a person who receives my emails, that means that you'll be getting posters, you'll be getting journal entries, you'll be getting all sorts of encouragement from me. And this month, because we think a lot of people are starting a new year and need encouragement, you'll get the Awaking Wonder video series. And you get to hear from my children and my adult children. You get to hear from me about how did I do it? What were the important things? What did a schedule look like? How did we choose books? And so go to sallyclarkson.com and sign up for my email, and you will be able to receive this set of videos to encourage you as you start your year. And so so the Mom Heart Meetup will be here in Colorado Springs. It's actually going to be at my church, because I think that'll be big enough. I don't think my home will be big enough. And that's on Saturday morning, I believe it's, oh my goodness, let me look real quick. What is, whatever the Saturday morning is. Let me look really quickly at my phone. All of a sudden, I'm not sure of the date. It is September 7th. And we will meet there for Mom Heart Meetup. I will also be meeting in Wild and Free at one of the hotel lobbies downtown. I will put all of this in an email if you sign up for my email list, so that you can find out where we're meeting in Franklin. And then I'm going to look, if any of you are going to the Collective in Pennsylvania, where I'm speaking, and you have an idea of where I might have a Mom Heart Meetup, some kind of a room or some kind of a lobby, or maybe outside if it's good weather. I don't know where to have a Mom Heart Meetup there, but I'm so happy to do a Mom Heart Meetup there in Pennsylvania. And I'll put the dates and the place in the forum on my membership, lifewithsally.com. And also I'll try to mention on my podcast where those meetups will be. And then I will be returning to speak to Hutchmoot in Nashville again. So if you missed it the first time, I will have a Mom Heart Meetup, and or probably those of you just who live in the Nashville area for another time of encouragement and fun together. So, and then there's one more thing. I decided that I would not do videos on YouTube, because that was too much pressure for me right now with my traveling and book releases and podcasts and so on and so forth. But I am releasing all of my reels on YouTube under Sally Clarkson. And if you ever just want to listen to my podcasts, all of my podcasts will also be listed at Sally Clarkson on YouTube. So those are some things I needed to tell you. Please keep me in your prayers as I go forward. Also, if you're inclined, I would be so honored if you would want to get a copy of my newest book that's coming out in a couple of months, and that is Well Lived. And you can just look at Well Lived by Sally Clarkson. And it's not a historical or tourist place sort of book. It is what are the essentials at 70 years old that God put in my heart? What are things to live for? And some of the things are just resources that I kept in my home that were good for my children. Or what does it mean to be a person who perceives themselves as a light in a dark world? Or, I have lots of different things in the book. It's for encouragement. So that would be great. And we will be starting the launch group in my membership and have prizes to give away to you very soon. In the next few weeks, I have some people assisting me. So if you want to be a part of the launch team, even if you don't want to join the membership, whenever I share a post about my book, if you would reshare it, that would be fantastic, because that would expose a lot of your friends to this book, because I'm going to be sharing a lot about it. And I have some unique ways I'm going to share about it this time. I'm going to take you on a journey through some of my favorite places in Oxford as I write on my Instagram and blog, and Facebook. So be sure to join me. Thank you for putting up with all of these advertisements, or all of the news, I should say, the news with Sally Clarkson and Whole Heart and Mom Heart. So bless you, bless you, bless you. Have a really wonderful week, and I'll look forward to meeting with you again next Tea Time Tuesday. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.